One of the biggest things, we're getting ready to turn dirt on this single family home, and the exact same variables in a duplex and in a fourplex are exactly the same as a single family home because they're all residential assets, okay? Okay, when we're building a house, a duplex or a fourplex, the exact same measures go into all three of those things. Now, when we come in, one of the biggest things that we want to make sure that we do to make it easier and it saves on labor is we have the survey company come out and they do what's called, they stake the actual grading area. And so the pad site is always going to be bigger than the actual house because the corners, unless you do a perfectly square or a perfectly rectangular home, will have variables to the shapes and dimensions of that house, the direction the garage turns, and the way the house actually sits. So for that reason, we'll go out and we'll do a building scope. And when we call the survey company, we'll go out and do what's called a building scope on the actual pad site of what's going to go down on the foundation. And then they usually go larger than what it actually is. That way, when you come in and you actually grade the actual dirt work in there, you have more room than you need so that way you have a solid foundation. It has to do with a subgrade because it needs to be compacted tight to in excess of 95% so that way the house never settles and the foundation is strong. And so one of the big things is making sure you have excess room so that you have your rollers and your compactors to be able to get a solid foundation and excess room to level so the house doesn't fall off a slope or go straight up a slope. So we'll always have a larger building scope. And the easiest way to do that is to have the survey company come out and mark the building scope for you. Now, as soon as you get your pad site down, one of the things that you'll notice on this specific house that we're building is that we'll have them come in and flag the corners. And so then we'll call the survey company and we'll flag the corners. Now, here's the sequence of events. When you actually come in, you start working on the process of getting permits and getting financing, you don't even have to own the lot yet. If you already have the survey company going out there doing topography and doing other stuff, at the exact same time that they're doing topography, if you want to save $500, $800, instead of having them come back out, just have them mark the building scope while they're there doing the topography. That way you save a trip out and it saves you money. All these little things land up resulting in a larger bottom line for profitability. Now, if you don't land up buying the lot, something goes south, it doesn't cost you anything because they were already out there doing a topography survey and it's part of the process and due diligence of actually buying the lot. So instead of going in and paying excess later because you want to quote unquote play it safe, then you're only costing yourself money down the road. So while they're already out there, have them do the building scope and just mark it with wooden stakes. It doesn't cost a survey company anything. If they throw an extra $100 in there to mark it, it's going to cost you substantially less than having to come make a special trip to mark the building scope after you close on the lot. You may not even own the lot. It's not going to hinder the seller's ability to resell the lot if you don't buy it because you're not putting a permanent structure on there. All it is 4 little wooden stakes from Home Depot. They mark your corners, they throw a little flag on them, and now you have a building scope. So when you come back out and you're ready to go in and start working on the tractor work, or you're waiting for your permits to fully get approved, or you're waiting to get your HOA approval, you start working on your pad site and you start leveling the dirt and you have a working scope that you can work within, and now it starts saving time. Time is money because if the quicker you build a house, especially once you start construction, the lower your debt service on the back end is going to be when you actually do construction. And one of the biggest things where liability gets greater is on the back end. So I always tell people, when you're done with your house, even if you don't have a certificate of occupancy, even if you're waiting for minor little logistical items like electrical trim outs, a plate that's missing, maybe a shower door that's back ordered or an oven that's back ordered, put it on a coming soon listing and get the listing up. And the one thing is you could put a picture of an oven that's coming and do a really nice digital photo of it and say, this is what the appliance is going to look like. You tape it right to where it's supposed to go. And that way it has a spec sheet of what's actually going in there. Don't hinder the resale time. The quicker you get that house for sale and the more buyers that you have coming through that house, the better you're going to be in regards to the resale time than you would otherwise. And so make sure time is always money. Your liability is larger on the back end because that's where your debt service is. Your debt service, your loan has graduated to the largest amount of debt service you're going to have. So if you have a $500,000 loan to build a house and you're building an $800,000 house for sake of example, they only on the front end only bill you on interest for what you've actually used on the loan. The back end, the house is done. You've used all the money. So now your interest payments are larger. So what you do on the front end affects the back end. What you do on the front end affects the back end. So the more efficient you are on the front end managing your project by doing stakes, by doing your pad site early, by marking your corners and having your trades go in. A lot of times while we're waiting for final permits, if we've got our lending secured, we'll go in and we'll start our pad site and we'll get to what's called first inspections. So first inspections are either like stem walls or there'll be a pad site. and then we'll go in and we'll facilitate cutting the footings, getting all the rebar ready for inspection, getting everything ready before we even have our finished permits. And then once we get our finished permits, the day we get our permits, we'll call in for an inspection. And we'll say, let me have a pre-slab inspection, or let me have a stem wall inspection. And we'll call it in, and right away we'll send in the email, we'll submit for an inspector to come out and inspect. And then we just saved a week, 2 weeks worth of work, and that saves you on the back end. So that's how you go in, and instead of it turning into a 7-month build, you build it in 5 months. That's how you shave off time. And when you get your house done, right away when you finish and you're about 99% there, the cleaning people can go in, and all these other contractors come back through your clean house, and they're gonna get it dirty again anyways. Pay an extra $300, have them go back through, mop the floors, wipe the countertops, rewash the windows a little bit, make it look real pretty and clean after the contractors finish all their small logistical stuff. But in that interim time, get it listed. It's already clean. You've already have it 99.9% done. There's always gonna be little punch list items at the end. Get it listed. The house is never gonna be perfect until you sell it and you get your final inspections from a home inspection company, so that way you can mitigate your liability on warranty stuff. And so always make sure that you get your house listed early, get it on the market, get buyers coming through there. And as you're finished up the logistical items, you're already retaining interest on your property while you're still working on all the minor stuff. And it'll save you 30 days, 60 days worth of interest, and it'll add an extra $3,000, $6,000, $9,000 to your bottom line that isn't trash can money that you throw away in interest because you're doing things slow. Listen, learn, follow the process. Management and execution is always where you save money and your bottom line grows because of execution, proper management, and profits are dominant. And that's how you go in and compound your success when you're managing a new build from the ground up to the back end and completing your projects. For more content just like this, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that thumbs up button, comment below, let us know how we can help you buy land, build houses for 6-figure profits, and let's go out and compound your success.